It was a cold morning in Wuhan, China. The streets were full of people wearing masks. A new sickness had started to spread. The news said it was just a flu, but doctors were worried. Something felt different this time. In Wuhan Central Hospital, a young doctor named Dr. Lin Wei stood in the emergency room. He had been working for 18 hours. Patients kept coming. All of them had high fever, red eyes, and trouble breathing. Some screamed in pain. Some could not stop shaking. "Another one," said Nurse Gia, bringing in a man on a stretcher. His skin was pale. His eyes were open wide, but he said nothing. "What's his name?" Dr. Lin asked. "We don't know." He collapsed in the train station. He bit someone who tried to help him. Dr. Lin felt a chill in his bones. They took the man to room 14. He lay still for a while. Then suddenly, he sat up. "Sir, you need to lie down," said Dr. Lin. The man turned his head slowly. His eyes were black. No white left at all. He growled like an animal. Then he jumped off the bed and attacked. Dr. Lin pushed him back. Nurses screamed. The man bit a security guard's neck and didn't stop until he was pulled away. The guard fell to the floor, blood pouring out. Dr. Lin hit the alarm. Code red. Everyone out now. But it was too late. The man bit 2 more people before they could lock the door. The hospital was now in chaos. Screams echoed in the halls. People ran, pushing each other, trying to escape. Dr. Lin found Nurse Gia hiding behind a desk. "What is happening?" she cried. "I don't know," he said, "but this is not a flu." Outside the hospital, the city still looked normal. People ate breakfast, took buses, went to school, but the infection had already started spreading. The bitten guard died in less than an hour. Then he got back up. His skin was gray. His mouth was full of blood. He walked slowly, but he could smell people. And he was hungry. In just one night, 10 more people were bitten. By the next morning, the hospital was closed by the government. No one was allowed to enter or leave. Soldiers came and stood outside. They wore masks and carried guns. Dr. Lin tried to call his wife, May, but there was no signal. The internet stopped working. Phones were silent. Something big was happening. Something dark. At midnight, Dr. Lin and Nurse Gia hid in the staff break room. The lights flickered. From the hallway, they heard footsteps, but not normal ones. Heavy, slow, and wet. Dr. Lin whispered, "They're here." Nurse Gia held a scalpel in her hand, shaking. "We have to get out." Dr. Lin nodded. "But first, I need to find the cure before this spreads to the whole world." Outside, the city of Wuhan was falling apart, but no one outside knew. Not yet. The infection had begun, and there was no going back. The hospital was dark. The power had gone out 3 hours ago. Only red emergency lights blinked in the hallways. Dr. Lin Wei sat in the break room with Nurse Gia. They had not eaten all day. Their faces were pale. Their hands shook. They had seen things no one should see. Outside the break room door, the sound of slow footsteps echoed again. Tap, tap, drag. The infected. They moved like broken dolls, limping, groaning, always searching. "We can't stay here," Nurse Gia whispered. "They'll find us." Dr. Lin nodded. "We need to reach the lab. If I can test the blood samples, maybe I can understand this virus." "How can you think about science right now?" "Because it's the only hope we have." Nurse Gia stared at him. Then she nodded. "Okay, let's go." They opened the door slowly. The hallway was empty, but the walls were smeared with blood. A nurse's shoe lay on the floor. The smell of death was strong. They moved quietly. Every step was careful. Suddenly, from the far end of the hall, a loud bang. A stretcher had fallen over. Then came the growl. The infected had heard them. "Run!" Dr. Lin shouted. 3 infected came from the shadows. Their eyes were black, their mouths full of blood. One wore a doctor's coat. One had a needle stuck in her arm. The third had no jaw, just an open hole where it used to be. Dr. Lin and nurse Jia ran into a stairwell. The infected followed, groaning and scratching the walls. They reached the 4th floor, where the lab was. Dr. Lin typed in the code. The door opened. He and Jia slammed it shut behind them. Inside the lab, it was quiet. Computers still worked on backup power. Blood samples were lined up on the table. Files were scattered everywhere. Dr. Lin went to work. These samples, they're changing fast. The virus attacks the brain first, then the blood, then the skin. He looked at the computer screen. It's not natural. It looks made, like something from a lab. Are you saying this virus is man-made? I don't. No, but it's not normal. It acts too fast. Suddenly, there was a knock on the lab door, but it wasn't the infected. "Hello?" A voice called. "Please help us." It was a woman and a boy. They were hiding in a hospital room nearby. Dr. Lin opened the door. The woman was carrying her son. He had a deep bite on his arm. "He was bitten 3 hours ago," the mother said. "He's burning up." Dr. Lin looked at the boy. His skin was hot. His eyes were red, but he was still human. "We can try to slow it down," Dr. Lin said. He gave the boy medicine and drew some blood for testing. But he knew the truth. The boy had maybe 1 hour left. That night, the mother held her son close. Dr. Lin watched the test results. He found something strange. One of the old patients had a rare blood type. That person took longer to turn, almost 6 hours. Could this mean something? "We might have a way to delay the infection," he told Jia. "But we need more blood, more time." Outside, the infected walked past the lab door, growling. There was no more food, no way out. They were locked inside the hospital, with the virus, with the infected, with death. But Dr. Lin made a promise to himself. He would find a cure, even if he was the last person alive. The power was almost gone. Only one computer still worked in the hospital lab. The air was cold. The lights flickered. Dr. Lin sat with dark circles under his eyes, typing fast. Nurse Jia stood beside him, watching the sick boy breathe slowly. His name was Chen. Chen's mother held his hand. She had not slept at all. Her eyes were full of fear. "Is he going to die?" she asked. Dr. Lin didn't answer right away. He looked at the blood sample again. The virus was moving fast in the boy's body, but something was strange. The virus had not reached his brain yet. "Maybe we still have time," he said. Jia touched his arm. "We need to get out of here. What if this place is already lost?" Dr. Lin sighed. "We can't leave. The army closed the gates. No one gets in or out. But we'll die if we stay. Or we can find the cure and save everyone." Jia didn't speak. She knew he wouldn't give up. That morning, a loud noise shook the building. Boom! Everyone jumped. The sound came from the hospital entrance. "They're trying to break in," said Jia. "No," said Dr. Lin. "They're trying to break out." From the lab window, they saw a group of infected people pushing against the front doors. Behind them, a small group of survivors was trying to fight back with sticks and broken chairs. One man had a fire extinguisher. He sprayed the infected in the face, trying to blind them. The doors cracked. Glass shattered. The infected broke free. They were now out in the open. The city of Wuhan changed in hours. The streets were no longer busy. Cars were left in the middle of the road. Shops were open, but no one was inside. Bloodstains marked the sidewalks. Sirens wailed in the distance. Helicopters flew overhead, but no one stopped to help. People started running out of the city. Some tried to swim across the river. Others hid in their homes. But the infection moved too fast. By evening, Wuhan was a dead city. Back in the hospital, Dr. Lin found a strange blood result. "It's working," he said. "What is?" asked Jia. "The medicine I gave Chen. It slowed down the virus. He's still human." Chen opened his eyes weakly. Is my mom okay?" "Yes," Dr. Lin said. "She's right here." The mother smiled, but her smile faded quickly. Her hands were shaking. "I think I was bitten," she whispered. She showed her arm. A small cut, but it was deep. Dr. Lin's heart sank. She would turn soon. That night, she held her son close. "I love you, Chen," she said softly. "Always remember that." Chen cried. "Don't go." She smiled through tears. "Be strong." Then she stood up, walked to the supply room, and locked the door from inside. Dr. Lin and Jia stood in silence. A few minutes later, they heard nothing, just the sound of a body falling. Chen cried quietly. Dr. Lin put his hand on the boy's shoulder. "I'll take care of you," he said. "I promise." Outside, the army set fire to parts of the city. They tried to stop the spread, but it was too late. The virus had already reached Beijing, and worse. A traveler from Wuhan had just landed in Los Angeles. The infection was now global, and the world had no idea what was coming. The city of Wuhan was no longer alive. Smoke filled the sky. Fires burned in the distance. The streets were empty, but danger was everywhere. Infected people walked slowly, their skin gray and dry, their mouths open with blood. They growled like animals. Dr. Lin, Nurse Jia, and young Chen looked out the hospital window. They had to leave. There was no more food. The backup power was dead. The air smelled like death, and more infected were entering the hospital every hour. "We can't stay here," Dr. Lin said. "It's only a matter of time." "But where can we go?" asked Jia. "The university. Hospital," Lin replied. "It has a better lab. I can continue my research there. Maybe they still have power." Chen sat quietly on a chair. He looked weak. His mother was gone. He was only 10 years old, but he had already seen too much. "Will I turn into one of them?" he asked. "No," said Dr. Lin. "I'll protect you." They packed quickly. Dr. Lin took his blood samples, notes, and a few vials of medicine. Jia found food and clean water in the nurse's station. Chen carried a small flashlight and his mother's necklace. They used the back exit of the hospital. It was quiet there. Too quiet. Outside, the world felt frozen. Shadows moved between cars. Blood covered the walls. A bus had crashed into a building. There were no sounds of life, just wind, fire, and the moans of the dead. As they walked down the street, they saw a man standing still in the middle of the road. He was dressed in a police uniform. "Hello?" Dr. Lin called. The man didn't move. Then he turned his head slowly. His face was twisted. His eyes were black. His mouth opened wide. He screamed. 2 more infected came out from behind cars. "Run!" Jia yelled. They ran through an alley. The infected chased them, growling loudly. One of them almost grabbed Chen, but Lin pulled him back just in time. They climbed over a wall and hid inside a small shop. Dr. Lin pushed a refrigerator in front of the door. The infected banged against it, but after a while, they gave up. Inside the shop, it was dark. They sat on the floor, catching their breath. "We can't keep running like this," Ja whispered. "They're everywhere." "I know," Lin said, "but we're close. The university hospital is only 5 blocks away." Chen shivered. "I'm cold." Jia gave him her jacket. "Stay close to me." They rested for a few hours. Then just before dawn, they moved again. The university hospital stood tall, but it looked abandoned. One of the windows on the second floor was broken. The main door was open. "Stay quiet," Lin said. They entered slowly. Inside it was dark, but the emergency lights were still on. "We have to find the lab," Lin whispered. They walked past empty rooms. Blood covered the floor. There were signs of a fight. Broken chairs, bullet holes, burned walls. On the 3rd floor, they found the research lab. It was locked, but Lin knew the code. He had studied here once, years ago. He typed in the numbers. The door opened. The lab was cold and quiet. Computers were off, but the equipment was still there. "We can stay here for now," Lin said. "I'll continue the research. We may be the last people who can stop this." That night, while Lin worked on the blood samples, Jia watched over Chen. He had a small fever, but the virus wasn't moving fast. "It's slowing down," Lin said. "The medicine works, but only for a short time." "We need more," Jia said. "More blood, more samples." "Yes, and more people. If we're the only ones left, we can't save the world." Just then, the lights flickered, and a sound came from outside the lab door. A voice. "Hello? Is someone in there?" They froze. "Please, help us." Dr. Lin opened the door carefully. 2 men stood there, wearing dirty clothes and holding sticks. "We're not infected," one of them said. "We've been hiding in the basement. Please let us in." Jia looked at Dr. Lin. "Do we trust them?" she asked. Dr. Lin looked at the men, then at Chen, and then back at the lab. "We don't have a choice," he said. He opened the door, but none of them knew. One of the men was hiding something deadly. The 2 men stepped into the lab, breathing hard. Their faces were tired and pale. One was tall with short hair and a scar on his chin. The other was younger, maybe just 20, with shaky hands and wide eyes. "I'm Jiang Wei," said the older man. "This is my cousin, Min. We've been hiding in the hospital basement for 3 days." Dr. Lin nodded. "You're lucky you're still alive." "We saw terrible things," Jiang said. "Doctors getting eaten, patients turning in minutes. We didn't know where else to go." "Are you sure you're not infected?" Nurse Jia awed, her eyes watching them closely. "We're clean," Jiang said quickly. "We check each other every few hours. No fever, no bites." But Min didn't look at anyone. He sat down in the corner and held his stomach. Jia walked over to Dr. Lin and whispered, "Something's wrong with him." "I'll watch him," Lin said. "Just stay ready." Later that evening, Dr. Lin continued his work in the lab. He tested more blood samples and studied the virus under the microscope. "It's smart," he said. "It hides inside the body, sleeping at first. Then it attacks fast. That's why people don't know they're infected until it's too late." He looked at Chen, who was now sleeping peacefully in a chair. "But the boy's body fights it. He's special. We need to keep him alive." Meanwhile, Jia gave Jiang some food and water. "Thank you," he said. "You saved us." She nodded. We're all trying to survive. Then they heard a sound, coughing. It was Min. He was sitting on the floor, holding his stomach. His face was pale. Sweat ran down his forehead. Min, Zhang asked, "Are you okay?" I didn't want to say anything," Min said weakly. "I didn't want you to leave me behind." "What are you talking about?" Min slowly lifted his shirt. There was a bite mark on his side, deep and red. "No," Jia whispered. "You said you were clean," Zhang shouted. "I was scared," Min cried. "I didn't want to die alone." Dr. Lin grabbed his medical bag and ran over. "How long ago did this happen?" he asked. Min's voice was shaking. "About a day, maybe more." Dr. Lin checked his eyes. They were already turning dark. "He's changing," Lin said. "We don't have much time." Zhang pulled away, looking horrified. "I should have checked him. I should have known." "We need to get him out of the lab," Jia said. "Now." But it was too late. Min let out a loud growl. His fingers bent in strange ways. His skin turned gray. "Get back," Dr. Lin yelled. Min jumped up and charged at Zhang. The older man pushed him away, but Min bit his shoulder before falling to the ground, shaking. Zhang screamed in pain. Jia grabbed a metal tray and hit Min in the head. He stopped moving. The room was silent again, except for Zhang's heavy breathing. Dr. Lin rushed to him. "You've been bitten." Zhang looked down at his shoulder. Blood poured out. He already knew. "Do it," Zhang said. "Give me the medicine." Dr. Lin injected the antiviral, but he didn't lie. "It might only buy you a few hours." Zhang looked at Min's body. His cousin was gone. "Then I'll use those hours to help you," he said. "I want to fight before I turn." That night, the lab became quiet again. Chen slept beside Jia, holding her hand. Zhang sat near the window, watching the dark streets. His skin was turning cold, but he didn't complain. Dr. Lin worked at the table, drawing blood, checking samples, writing notes. He looked at the small vial in his hand. "This may be it," he whispered. "A possible cure." But he needed more time, more tests, more blood. And outside, the world was falling apart. In Beijing, the virus had spread. In Shanghai, whole neighborhoods were burning. And now, it was moving to other countries. People were running. Governments were panicking. Airports were closed. But the infected kept coming. And Dr. Lin knew if they failed in this lab, there would be no one left to stop it. Jiang Wei sat near the wall, breathing slowly. His eyes were losing color. His lips were turning blue. He had maybe 1 hour left before the virus took over. "I can feel it," he said. "It's inside me, crawling in my blood." Nurse Jia stood nearby, holding a cloth to his wound. "Try to rest. The medicine might help slow it down." Zhang smiled weakly. "No medicine will save me, but I can still do one last good thing." Dr. Lin worked at the lab table, moving fast. He had made something, an experimental injection from Chen's blood and the antiviral. It wasn't a full cure, but it showed signs of fighting the virus. "We're close," he whispered to himself. "So close." Jia walked over. "How much time do we have?" Dr. Lin looked at the clock. "If we don't find a working cure in 24 hours, Chen's medicine will run out, and he'll turn." Jia looked at the boy, sleeping with his mother's necklace in his hand. "We won't let that happen," she said. Zhang sat up slowly. "I want to help, before I lose control." Dr. Lin turned to him. "There is one thing." He pointed to the medical freezer. "There are stronger supplies. In the military safe zone, 10 blocks from here. But I can't leave Chen. I need someone to go there and bring back the last samples." Jiang nodded. "I'll do it." Jia stepped forward. "I'll go with him." "No," Jiang said. "If I turn, I don't want to hurt you. I'll go alone." Doctor Lin walked over and gave him a small backpack. "There's a radio inside. If you reach the safe zone, call me. I'll guide you to the right samples." Jiang looked at the boy one last time. Keep him alive, then he left. The streets were full of smoke and silence. Jiang moved like a ghost, his body heavy, his heartbeat loud in his ears. He knew time was running out, but he kept walking as he passed burned cars and broken buildings. He remembered his cousin Min, the bite, the fear, the way he changed. "Not me," Jiang whispered. "I'll die a man, not a monster." He reached the military gate by sunset. It was locked, but he saw a hole in the fence, just big enough. He slipped through. Inside, it was quiet. Too quiet. Then he saw them. Soldiers, but they weren't human anymore. Their uniforms were ripped. Their faces were dead, and they were standing still, like they were sleeping. Jiang held his breath and moved slowly past them. One step, another. He reached the medical tent. Inside, he found boxes of medicine, blood samples, and notes. Then his radio buzzed. "Jiang, can you hear me?" It was Dr. Lin's voice. "Yes, I'm here." "Good. Check box A12. It has the last dose of Cyan-13 serum. It could be our key." Jiang opened the box. The vial was there, glowing cold blue. "I got it," he said, but then, crash. He turned. A metal tray had fallen. The soldiers were waking up. Their eyes opened. Their mouths moved. They were hungry. Jiang grabbed the vial, put it in his jacket, and ran. The infected soldiers chased him through the camp. He shot one with a pistol he had taken earlier, but there were too many. As he reached the fence, one of them grabbed his leg. He kicked hard and crawled through the hole, bleeding. He looked at the sky, his vision fading. Then he saw something. Headlights. A truck driven by a woman. It was Jia. She had followed him after all. They drove back, fast. Jiang was shaking now. His breath came in short gasps. "Did you get it?" Jia asked. Jiang smiled and opened his hand. The vial was there. Then he closed his eyes. Back at the lab, Dr. Lin took the serum and ran tests. Chen's condition was getting worse. His fever was rising. His eyes were starting to change. Lin injected the serum into the boy's arm. Then he waited. 1 minute, 210 Chen's breathing slowed. His color returned. Then he opened his eyes. "Dr. Lin," he said, "I'm thirsty." "Doctor." Lin and Jia stared at each other in shock. The serum worked. Chen was saved. But outside, the world was still falling apart. Planes were crashing. Cities were burning. And the infection had now reached London, Paris, and New York. Dr. Lin looked at the map. This serum, it can save millions. But they would need a way to spread it, and they would need to move fast, because the world was running out of time. Chen was awake. He sat on the lab table, drinking water. His skin looked healthy again. His fever was gone. His eyes were clear. Dr. Lin stared at him, speechless. "It worked," he whispered. "The serum worked." Jia smiled with relief. "You did it. but Dr. Lin shook his head. No, we did it. Zhang risked his life to bring the sample back. They looked at Zhang's body, covered with a white cloth. He had stopped breathing minutes after returning. The virus had won, but he had completed his mission. We'll honor him, Lindsay said quietly. By saving the world, Dr. Lin prepared the remaining serum for testing. He added Chen's blood sample, the antiviral, and the ZN-13 compound. It was a strong mix, stronger than anything he had made before. This is it, he said. If we can make more of this, we can stop the infection. But how do we do that? Jia asked. We need equipment, machines, power, and people, Lin added. Trained people. Suddenly the lab radio crackled. This is Captain Huang of the Eastern Safe Zone. We received your signal. If anyone can hear this, respond. Dr. Lin ran to the radio. This is Dr. Lin Wei. We have a working serum, a possible cure. There was silence for a moment. Then the voice answered. We've been searching for survivors with medical knowledge. We can send a rescue team. Where are you? We're at Wuhan University Hospital, Lin said. We have a child who's been cured. We have notes, samples, everything. Hold your position. We'll arrive by helicopter at 0600 hours. Dr. Lin looked at Jia. We're getting out. But deep inside, he felt uneasy. Good news always comes too late. That night, they packed. The lab, blood samples, serum vials, notebooks. One cooler held everything. Jia helped Chen into warm clothes. The boy smiled for the first time. Are we going somewhere safe now? Yes, she said. Somewhere with food, clean beds, and people who aren't trying to bite us. Chen laughed a little. It sounded beautiful. At 5 a.m., they heard the sound. Wah-wah-wah-wah-ha, helicopter. It flew low above the rooftops, lights flashing. Dr. Lin waved from the hospital roof. The helicopter hovered and began to lower a rope ladder. Then, gunfire. Shots echoed from the street below. Infected were coming from every side. A large group, dozens of them, drawn by the noise. The helicopter pulled up again. We can't land. Too many infected. The pilot shouted through the radio. Jia pulled Chen behind a metal box. What do we do now? We have to clear a path, Dr. Lin shouted. If we don't, the chopper can't pick us up. He opened a supply bag and took out a small remote. What is that? Jia asked. Zhang gave it to me. It's a homemade bomb. Enough to blow a car in half. Looked at Chen. Stay here. Don't move. Then he and Jia ran down to the parking lot below. Outside, the infected were everywhere. Growling, crawling, running. Lin and Jia reached a broken-down bus. They placed the bomb inside. Ready? He asked. Jia nodded. Do it. He pressed the button. Boom. The bus exploded, sending fire and metal into the street. Dozens of infected were thrown into the air. The sound was deafening. The helicopter came back, lower this time. Now, the pilot called. Climb up. Dr. Lin grabbed the cooler and climbed the ladder first. Jia helped Chen onto the ladder and followed behind him. The infected were still coming, but the fire had slowed them down. The helicopter rose higher, carrying the 3 survivors away from the burning city. They looked down as the sun rose over Wuhan. The city was broken, burning, but they were still alive. Inside the helicopter, Dr. Lin opened the cooler and looked at the vial. 1 dose. That's all they had. The last infection had begun to end. But now, a new mission was starting, to spread the cure before the world was lost forever. The helicopter flew fast across the sky, heading east. The land below was filled with ruins, burned buildings, crashed cars, and roads full of the dead. The virus had spread far, too far. Inside the helicopter, Dr. Lin held the cooler tightly. Inside it was the last vial of the cure, a cold blue liquid that could save the world or be lost forever. Jia sat beside Chen, who was sleeping against her shoulder. His breathing was calm, his body was healthy. He was proof that the cure worked. Captain Huang, the pilot, looked back. We're 1 hour from the eastern safe zone. We have a full lab there, scientists, soldiers. If we make it, we can create more of the cure. Dr. Lin nodded. Just get us there alive. But nothing was easy in this world anymore. 30 minutes later, the helicopter suddenly shook. Boom! A loud sound came from below. "We're hit," Captain Huang shouted. Something exploded near. The engine. Smoke filled the air. The chopper spun to the side. Alarms rang. The light above turned red. "We're going down," the pilot yelled. Jia grabbed Chen and held him tight. Dr. Lin wrapped his arms around the cooler. "Hold on." Helicopter crashed into the side of a mountain. Metal screamed. Glass shattered. Then darkness. Dr. Lin opened his eyes. His head was bleeding. His hands hurt. The helicopter was broken in half, lying on a snowy slope. The cold air burned his skin. "Jia? Chen?" he called out. "I'm here," Jia answered weakly. She was stuck under part of a seat, but alive. Chen was beside her, crying softly. "We're alive," she whispered. Dr. Lin looked around. The pilot was dead. He checked his bag. The cooler was cracked. No. He opened it. The vial was still there, but the glass was broken. The blue serum had leaked out. All of it. The cure was gone. Dr. Lin fell to his knees. He felt pain, fear, and failure all at once. "I failed," he whispered. "Zhang died for this. We had it. We had the cure." Jia placed her hand on his shoulder. "But we still have you." Dr. Lin looked at her. "You made the cure once," she said. "You can do it again." He shook his head. Not without the blood sample. Not without the serum. Everything was in that cooler. Then Chen walked toward him. "You still have me," the boy said. Dr. Lin stared at him. He was right. Chen's blood had changed. It had fought the virus. His body was the cure. They built a small fire with parts of the wreckage and waited through the night. Wolves howled in the distance. They didn't sleep. In the morning, they began walking through the snow. Dr. Lin carried Chen on his back. Jia walked ahead with a map she found in the helicopter. "We're 10 kilometers from the safe zone," she said. "We can make it before night." The journey was slow. Their legs ached. Their hands froze. But they didn't stop, because now they knew the truth. Chen was the last hope. By sunset, they saw it. The eastern safe zone. A large wall surrounded the base. Guard towers, searchlights, real people. They waved. Soldiers ran out and helped them inside. A doctor checked Chen. "He's clean," the doctor said. "What is this boy?" "He survived the virus," Lin said, "and we used his blood to create the cure." The base commander stepped forward. "If you can make more, we'll protect you. We'll help you." Dr. Lin looked at the new lab inside. The base, fresh equipment, power, security, hope. He smiled for the first time in days. "It's time to finish what we started." That night, as snow fell outside the walls, Dr. Lin stood in front of a microscope, holding a new blood sample from Chen. Gia stood behind him. "Can you really make more?" "Yes," Lin said. "Not just more. Enough to save the world." 1 week passed. Inside the Eastern Safe Zone, people were working day and night. The lab was busy. Doctors, scientists, and soldiers all worked together. For the first time in months, there was hope. Dr. Lin stood in front of a table full of equipment. Vials, tubes, machines, all running smoothly. Beside him, Chen sat on a chair, reading a book. He looked healthy, happy. Gia walked in with a warm coat for Chen. "You need to rest," she said. "I'm fine." Chen smiled. "I like watching Dr. Lin." Dr. Lin turned around. "And I like having my assistant. Here." Gia smiled. "Is it done?" Dr. Lin held up a small glass vial. Inside was the blue liquid. The cure. "This is the real version. Tested. Safe. Strong." He looked out the window at the people in the camp. "We can make thousands of doses now." The commander of the safe zone stood with his team. "We'll load the cure onto helicopters and send it to other safe zones, then to cities still standing." "What about infected areas?" someone asked. "We'll test it as a spray. We may be able to stop the virus mid-air." Dr. Lin joined them. "But we need to move fast. Every day, more people are dying." The commander nodded. "Then we'll move faster." That night, a large screen in the camp showed a live video. The military sent out a message to the world, to all survivors. "A cure has been found. Come to the Eastern Safe Zone. Help is coming." People cried. They hugged. They believed. And from faraway places, Germany, Canada, South Korea, Brazil, messages began to come in. "We are still alive. Please send help. We have survivors, but no medicine." Dr. Lin knew what had to be done. The next day, he stood at the helicopter pad. Boxes of the cure were loaded onto military helicopters. Nurses and doctors joined the teams. Gia placed a small backpack on Chen's shoulders. "You sure you want to go with him?" she asked. Chen nodded. "I want to help." Dr. Lin smiled at her. "He's not just a survivor. He's the reason the world still has a chance." She hugged both of them. "Be safe." The helicopters flew over empty cities, ruined towns, and quiet mountains. But soon they would land in safe zones, in hospitals, in refugee camps. Each place would receive the cure. Each dose would save lives. Weeks passed. Infection rates began to fall. People stopped turning into monsters. Some were even cured early. Before their minds were fully gone, cities started to open again. Families were reunited. Fires were put out. Streets were cleaned. And one day, a plane flew again, not to escape, but to deliver medicine. The world was healing. Months later, in a rebuilt hospital in Beijing, a young doctor gave a shot of blue liquid to a sick woman. She opened her eyes and smiled. "Thank you," she said. The young doctor nodded. Behind him, a photo hung on the wall. It showed a group of heroes: Dr. Lin, Nurse Gia, and Chen. At the bottom it read, "The last infection. The cure was found. Humanity was saved. We will never forget."